Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 78 in the book of Romans. This is a follow-up to what we started with. We started way back 78 episodes ago, and we talked about doing the book of Romans, which is this large, theologically dense book, and we talked about doing it in bite-sized pieces. The analogy we used in day one was it was like eating an elephant, but remember the call that this was an elephant that was meant to be eaten. And today we find in the very first bites of the elephant, in the summary that's in chapter 1, verses 1 through 7, that the similar topics and themes are summarized today in what's called the doxology. So this introduction equals the doxology. And here, let me just read it. This is Romans 16. These are the last 3 verses of the book of Romans. We're finishing today, doxology. Now to him who is able to strengthen you according to my gospel and the preaching of Jesus Christ, according to the revelation of the mystery that was kept secret for long ages, but now has been disclosed, and through the prophetic writings has been made known to all nations, according to the command of the eternal God, to bring about the obedience of faith. To the only wise God be glory forevermore through Jesus Christ. Amen. So today we're going to reinforce and celebrate and summarize some of these themes. So I'm going to start at the beginning. We're going to end with glory. In 4 words, this is now to him be the glory. That's how you could summarize all this, but we'll break it down a little bit. Now, to him who is able. So the Lord is the big mover, obviously, in the book of Romans. He's got the power. He has the abilities. We see we get these little glimpses of his sovereignty and his election and what he does for mankind in salvation and his patience and his ability of working with his people through the ages. And then we see him move the spiritual furniture of righteousness and sending grace to people. And every one of these things is totally above our pay grade. And one of my thoughts is he'd better be able to do this. We are depending critically on it. We're not gonna go to heaven at the time of our death and say, hey, I've got my own sin, or I've got the ability to conquer death. Those things are ridiculous. Of course he's able, and I need it. All right, now to him who is able to strengthen you. Well, all these amazing things about God. He doesn't stay in his ivory tower. The beauty is he came down, he saved, he listens, he knows the prayers of those who cry out to him. So yes, he's in the God business. He's able, but he's also in the you business. He's also in the me business. He's able to strengthen me. And then Paul reinforces his authority. He says, and to my gospel. So Paul is the servant of the Lord. He's the apostle, and his gospel is Jesus's gospel. So he reinforces the gospel, and he reinforces his ability to proclaim it. Now to him who is able to strengthen you according to my gospel and the preaching of Jesus Christ. And this goes without saying that the gospel is all about Jesus. And may this podcast, may this point towards Jesus, what he said, what he did, how he lived, how he died, how he sacrificed, etc. So this is a salvation story that is preached here today. And perhaps Romans might be the best description of that gospel in the world, in the Bible. All right, then he mentions that it's according to the revelation of the mystery that was kept secret for long ages, but now has been disclosed through the prophetic writings, has been made known to all nations. It's described actually as a mystery. So according to the revelation of the mystery that was kept secret for long ages, but now has been disclosed. So that is the Old Testament scriptures, and Romans is all about the Old Testament, has been fulfilled and clarified. So, for example, you can understand more about the temple and more about the Passover and more about the law, and all the purpose of that as you understand the New Testament and read Romans specifically. But now it's been disclosed through the prophetic writings, and it's made known to all nations. So one of the big themes about Romans is that the Gentiles are included. So the ethnic Jews give way and welcome faith Jews, that is Gentiles, people that have the faith of their father Abraham, and in the sense then all become family of Abraham, all become sons of Abraham. So Romans is about a mission to the Gentiles, but it's also just after that the mission of the Gentiles. So according to the command of the eternal God to bring about obedience of faith. So Romans is not a book about theory, though it is about theory. It gets to obedience of faith. So we want to respond correctly with renewed minds and with committed bodies, with committed to changing behavior. We talked about this from Romans 12, 1 and 2 being the most expensive verses in the Bible because they require some sacrifice, some effort. So the idea is that all these bites are not for naught. The 78 bites that we've had in the book of Romans, they're not for nothing. The point is they're supposed to be changing us. And then verse 27, to the only wise God be glory forevermore through Jesus Christ. Amen. So we've been biting at this elephant of wisdom and truth and of the gospel. We've had 78 bites of glory and 78 bites that hopefully there are for glory, that these are for the Lord. And so my prayer as we finish the book of Romans is that the Lord would be pleased by our biting at the elephant, that he would be pleased with our understanding, that he would be gracious to us, both for his for understanding, for wisdom, for the head part of us, but also for our behaviors. May the book of Romans, may these 78 bites be agents of change for each of us. So we've had 78 bites of glory. May these 78 bites be for his glory. Thank you for walking this walk with me.